and welcome to After the Storm. I'm your host, Rick Plasmati, and with me today are Shaylin Degnan and Karen Sullivan, who are outreach crisis counselors at the Riverside Community Care and Trauma Center in Dedham. Today we'll be discussing the Mass Support Network, particularly as it is involved with the floods that hit our region last March. The Mass Support Network is a FEMA program managed by the Mass Department of Mental Health, and it is in collaboration with 3 regional agencies. And please interrupt me if I get this wrong. The Riverside Community Care, Boston Medical Center's Center for Multicultural Mental Health, and the Community Counseling of Bristol County.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as a service of Riverside Community Care, how does the Mass Support Network operate?
Sure. Basically, we are out of the Riverside Trauma Center.
Okay.
Riverside is a huge multi-service organization, and the Trauma Center is actually out of Needham, and we were able to get the grant for this particular program. So we are out of the Trauma Center, and what we do is we are running the Mass Support Network out of that.
Gotcha. Thanks, Karen. So what the goal is to help local communities and schools and rather any citizens of these impacted counties to cope with. Tell me, Shayla.
Exactly. The Riverside Trauma Center itself helps every community in the state, except for Boston, actually deal with any type of disaster, from natural disasters to homicides, suicides, major accidents, explosions, anything traumatic in any community.
Sounds pretty wide-ranging.
It is, yeah.
But today we're going to focus on the floods.
Exactly.
All right. As I understand it, the Mass Support program or grants or funding is assigned to 7 counties?
Yes. So basically, those 7 counties were declared a federal disaster area by President Obama.
And each of the agencies covers 2 or more counties,
Yes.
and Riverside covers 3.
Yes. Riverside actually covers Norfolk, Essex, and Worcester counties currently. Community Counseling of Bristol County covers Bristol and Plymouth counties.
Okay.
And Boston Medical Center actually covers Suffolk and Middlesex counties.
Okay. The Mass Network embodies the concept of citizens coping, recovery from disaster, and you as crisis outreach counselors find people to provide information to, or do you go out to I think you mentioned libraries and other types of group meeting places. Why don't you tell me a little bit about either of those 2
So
methods?
we do actually go out and make group presentations to libraries, council on aging, senior centers, Rotary clubs, neighborhood community meetings, anything above, and actually talk about stress management and disaster preparedness, and basically how to cope after the floods.
How do people contact you? Are there also websites or?
Well, we do find, when we find a community has been highly affected, what we will do is we'll go house to house as well, and we'll deliver some materials, which has our contact information on it. But we also try to hang our information in supermarkets, and we also try to leave them at different libraries and different community centers throughout the counties that we work in. So, and also hopefully through presentations like today, we hope to kind of find more people that may need support through kind of just giving our information through community TV and things like that. So
you almost get a start, but within a community by, for instance, if there's a river that goes through a community, chances are that the river
Yeah.
has overflown,
Right.
and
Yep.
those are the neighborhoods that are going to be most impacted.
Yeah, so the state will give us a list of neighborhoods or
Uh-huh.
regions that we
Uh-huh.
need to focus on.
Okay.
Usually they're in low-lying areas, they'll have a lot of groundwater in the springtime, or they'll have rivers and they flood, unfortunately, often in the spring.
Now, there were 3 storms, I think, that resulted in these floods, and yet this program, at least in Massachusetts, started up in August. Now, tell me why, if we're looking at a crisis type of an outreach, that that Riverside and all these others didn't go out right after the floods.
Sure. This particular program, there's actually 2 programs that states usually respond to for behavioral health services. The CCP, our program, is 9 months after. Our state decided to do the 9-month one so we could outreach to people and have kind of a longer time to kind of reach those people. Also, we didn't really have a lot of people that were in kind of in shelters or anything like that. So we're able to kind of go door to door. So that's why it seems, why this happened so long ago. Well, this is why that is. So that's why we're going out now. So we have more time to outreach to those people.
And the program lasts until
The end of
May-
April,
Ap-
May
April
1st,
30th.
yeah.
Mhm.
April 30th, really, yeah.
Now, do you think that with the storms having been last March and the program starting up in August, do you think that you maybe have seen pretty much everybody you're going to see within the first 6 months of the program?
Well, probably not, just due to the nature of our outreach. We circle around 3 large counties,
Yeah.
so it takes a long time to reach all the people that is necessary. So we have been going around and we've made all our first visits, but we'll be going back around to towns just to get in touch with those people that need our help. That's kind of why this type of grant is so great, because you get in touch with the people that really need your support throughout the long term.
It's not like you're going to hit Worcester County and then forget about it.
No,
Or
we do
Norfolk,
second
forget about it.
visits, yeah.
All right.
So definitely we'll be back around to those people we have missed at least twice in many cases.
Now, how many people are involved in the outreach out of Riverside?
Well, our team we have 4 crisis outreach counselors, and we also have we have an agency person that works with Riverside out of the trauma center, but we're mainly the ones that go out door to door. There's 4 of us.
In teams of 2, just due to safety in neighborhoods
I see.
and outreach to those that are necessary. And we have a superior that coordinates from Riverside and also is connected to the state and the government.
So you're getting to know these 3 counties pretty well, I
Oh,
bet.
Very
yes.
well.
Now, the program is funded by FEMA
Yep.
and run through the Department of Mental Health, Mass Department.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about how the funding operates, and do any of the people who take advantage of the crisis counseling, do they have to put out any of their own money?
Oh, absolutely no. We aren't particularly sure about how the funding works specifically, but we do know, again, everything is kept confidential. It's just as another side note, but there's no charge for anything. We don't charge insurances, anything like that. So it's strictly outreach. We're there to assist people. We don't bill or anything like that.
Now, as far as trying to get people to come and take advantage of your programs, do you think that there is any reluctance on the part of people to say, saying, geez, this flood absolutely killed me, but I don't want to go near any counseling type of a thing?
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the case once in a while, but once people understand what our services are and we're really there as a guiding support, and also we're just really there to talk to them, once they know that and once they know of the resources we can guide them to, they're generally very willing to talk to us and very happy that we actually came to their door.
We've also found that a lot of times people aren't even aware of our resources.
I know I wasn't.
Yeah, and that's been a challenge for us since the beginning.
Sure.
But we've also found that a lot of people were very resilient and were able to kind of get what their needs met through, you know, their own community supports, and they've done it themselves. So people we found are very resilient in terms of after these floods. But we are still there if people do need assistance.
What are the types of services that you can offer to people?
Yeah, so us ourselves, actually, we can go out and talk to people. We can send them, actually, we can give them information for the long-term recovery groups. There's one actually that serves Norfolk County, and that is called the Southern Long-Term Recovery Group.
And what
Karen
does that do?
Karen actually attends those wonderful meetings with
Bet
that
they are
group.
wonderful.
They're actually a group of amazing people that have helped thousands so far.
Yes.
So tell me about it.
Okay, so the long-term recovery group, I'm actually a part of that. We attend at least like once a week. And what they did is they were also created after the storms. But what they do is they help a lot more with the basement rebuilds, checking to see if there's mold, doing the mold remediation, and we work together. So if there's more resources needed, we'll kind of work together. We'll take that piece, and they'll go out and they'll try to gather the volunteers that are needed to kind of go out and do that mold remediation, which is basically clearing out all the mold in the basement. Clear out the basements, all sorts of different things. So we both work together to do that.
And those types of physical remediations are also covered under these grants from the FEMA?
It's a different funding source, basically,
Okay.
and they are also working in conjunction. They'll be a little bit on after we move on in April.
Probably the fall, through the fall of
Through the fall.
2011.
This is the long term.
Yep.
But a lot of their money comes through donations and different things like that. So.
And again, though, if I'm a homeowner and I have mold all running through my basement as a result of these floods, is this the same type of thing where I'm at I don't have to write a check?
Oh yeah, you don't have to
Same
pay
type of thing.
anything.
That's
You
terrific.
may end up on a short waiting list just due to the need in this county, but you'll find that someone will definitely call you back as soon as you call them, and they will come out and look at your damage as soon as possible,
Boy,
and
that's
you will
great.
receive that face right away. They'll definitely talk to you right
That's
away.
terrific.
And as long as you're a homeowner, it shouldn't cost any money for the person that's doing that. So we're working on kind of, so if anyone in your community knows of people that are willing to volunteer, we're going to have a kind of like a community caring day where we're going to go out and try to get as many houses done as we can. So if there's any contractors that work in this area that are interested in kind of supporting us with that, they can contact us, and we'll let you know more about that. But that is something we're looking forward to.
Is that scheduled already?
We don't have an actual date scheduled yet, but it should be sometime in about like late March. We're looking
around
at.
the anniversary date, which is the anniversary of the storms.
Right. So we're also, if people want to donate any
Supplies.
their services to kind of do mold
Drivers? Do you
remediation.
need drivers or?
Not necessarily drivers, just people who are able to do kind of basement rebuilds or
So the
things
physical.
like that. Yeah. And we're also looking for volunteers to help kind of just move trash out from people's basements,
I'm
because
sure
there's
there
a
are
lot
plenty
left.
of organizations and groups at the high school. That would be very, very well
Appreciate
targeted
it.
on
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you.
What happens after March 30th?
Yeah.
So I was surprised when you said there are still plenty of people that you still need to hit or contact.
Yeah.
And now we have 2 months left.
Yep.
So what happens for the people either that still need some help that are currently in the program, and others that it's April 30th?
Yeah.
What happens to those people?
Those people actually can call the long-term recovery group until the fall of 2011 for physical needs such as basement rebuilding and mold remediation, and that group will be in operation for a few more months after us. those who are in need of counselors or talking to someone, they can actually speak to Riverside.
Okay.
They have a center in Norwood, which would cover Foxboro, and Karen has the number available here.
Yes. I'll just tell you.
Me.
It's 781-769-8670.
And again?
And that again, it is 781-769-8670. And also I wanted to mention that because we work so closely with the long-term recovery groups, we're giving them a list of our resources. So since the beginning of this project, we have a collection of all the resources in each city or town. Well, we're working on building that. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of give all our information to the long-term recovery group, so that they have some resources as well. So when we go, that they will have them. But also, we would also suggest, besides Riverside, just kind of doing some outreach in their own community, asking their family, asking their a faith group or something like that. And also Mass 211, if you dial 211.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's basically, it's like 411. If you dial 211, you're able to kind of get some information, and you say your town and what you're looking for. So I'm looking for substance abuse services in Norwood, and what they'll do is they'll kind of connect you with that too. So, and you can find more information on our program there as well.
So Riverside is like an umbrella that has, I think you said its main office is in Needham.
It's headquartered in Dedham. We're actually working out of Needham. Yeah.
And then there's also another office in Norwood.
There's offices
outpatient counseling. There's a couple in Norwood
all
actually.
Throughout the state.
Yeah.
It's Riverside Outpatient Center at Norwood. Is the name.
Well, okay, so Riverside is a pretty
large agency.
Pretty large
Very
agency.
large.
And it's not just focused on these 3 counties. Does it expand
It
across
covers
the
the
state?
whole state except for Boston,
Except
for the
for
trauma
Boston.
center.
That's the trauma center, but mostly it's central and eastern Massachusetts they cover. They
For
cover
most
a
of the
large
services,
area.
Boy.
Yeah.
That's pretty
But
good.
if a town is in need of the trauma center services, the town can outreach to Riverside, and they will respond if the town, needs extra
and
help.
at least they could put the person in touch with.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yep, definitely.
I know you wanted to spend a little time on disaster preparedness
Yeah.
and stress management.
Yep, we do.
So go to town.
So generally, it's important to speak a little bit of disaster preparedness after an incident or a storm, or there's floods or whatever, because it's really important to let people know that if they prepare for a disaster, they'll be able to feel much better afterwards. So now that we've had floods once, it's possible we could flood again. So it's a really good idea to think about what you can do to prepare in case it does.
And it's also, you've got their attention.
Exactly.
Yep.
There's generally 3 tips we say about preparing for a disaster. It's getting a disaster kit ready for you and your family should something strike. Making a plan with your family about what you're going to do, evacuation or whatever the case may be. And being informed, just knowing how to get in touch with local officials and how to learn about where to go if there's shelters. So having those sort of plans in action tends to save lives throughout the whole country, really, for people to prepare. Getting a kit together, it's important. What you really want to do is think about what you would need for 3 to 5 days if disaster should strike. So we say it should be supplies for each person to survive for 3 to 5 days. So non-perishable food items, canned goods, anything that won't go bad should you not have electricity or a refrigerator.
So it's disaster preparedness focused on pretty much staying in your residence.
Yes,
Without power.
Without power, water actually 1 gallon per person per day is what we say, what FEMA says should be the best.
All right.
Also, hand-powered radios so people can understand where to go to shelters if need be. If there's more storms coming in, where to go for supplies or whatever the case may be. Also, batteries, if you have a battery radio, batteries for flashlights. Flashlights are a great idea.
Cranking flashlights,
Yep.
I got one in my car.
Exactly. Warm clothes, if it's winter, you should know where all your warm clothes are in case there's a snowstorm, an ice storm, whatever the case may be. Floods, you want to be able to know exactly flooding zones, actually. You can go to your town, and if you go to your town hall or something, they can show you the flood zone maps. So if you live in Foxboro, you could probably go to the town hall and they could help you out there.
Chances are, I mean, have you found that people do or don't know that they're
If they're in a
flood
flood zone, they generally know because they've been flooded.
Yeah.
But some people on the outskirts may not know or something, yeah. Also, anything you think you might need to survive for those time periods. A car charger is a good idea for your cell phone because you probably want to power. But if you have a car, you might be able to use that. So if there's some sort of snowstorm or something, you can probably use your car. If there's a flood, you may not be able to. It's important to think about where to keep this kit. Some sort of a safe container, a plastic container is a good idea.
Sure.
If you flood a lot, you might want to keep it on your second floor or something. So that's probably a good idea. Also, making plans with your family, escape routes and meeting places. General fire preparedness is a great thing, to know where to go if you have a fire, and to make a map with everyone in your family, youth, elderly, everyone, so everyone knows the plans. To practice that plan twice a year.
Do you think people actually practice their plans?
I know that my family, we talk about it. We actually do. We don't actually practice
We're gonna
it.
meet at that tree.
But we've spoken about it, so I think we know. However, the best thing you can do
is actually practice.
Yeah, because I don't live at home anymore, so I'm not really there. However, I know people that do, especially people with young children and elderly, really need to.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially due to mobility.
Right.
But for example, if you live in your house and you have a neighbor that you speak to all the time, you could go to their house, go to the mailbox, and know 2 routes out of each room. I know that if I go to a movie theater, I know where the exits are.
Right.
That's really good to practice anywhere, especially in your home, out of every single room. Saves lives. Fires is the most common disaster that we see in the United States. Floods usually being second in most states. So it's really crucial to prepare for fires and to be ready to go at a moment's notice.
I suppose it also makes sense from a neighborhood perspective. If you have an elderly neighbor, you might arrange with that person.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. So just to be looking out for your community is a really big deal, especially in times of need. Community resilience, we've seen actually, has been amazing throughout this county and all of them actually. So, and also a communication plan with your family is a good idea. Actually, during September 11th, during Hurricane Katrina, families would try to call each other within those cities and wouldn't have luck. But could call people across the country who were not experiencing the same disaster. And through that network, people are able to talk. So for example, I use my uncle. My uncle lives in California. He's not going to be having the ice storm that I have here in Massachusetts or in New Hampshire or New York sometimes. We all will be calling him and telling him where we are, if we're at the shelter, if we're at a friend's house.
And so
he can tell us.
No, they can call him too.
Exactly. So each member of the family should have that person's phone number in their wallet at all times, the address of this person, the email, phone numbers, cell phone, work numbers.
Those are
It
great
works out
ideas.
really well.
Yeah.
It's been proven to work, especially due to those major events in our history.
Yeah.
So that's a huge idea. And just to be informed about what your locality is, like I said, flood zones and, radio stations that usually have the most up-to-date information is a great idea. And also to be certified in CPR and first aid saves lives every day, even more so when large events happen. You can usually go to the Red Cross or the fire stations locally for those types of classes.
YMCA too, I think, does.
Yeah, so
we
just
got a
check
Y here
in.
town.
Yeah. Make a phone call. It can save a life. So it's general disaster preparedness. Also, just quick flood preparedness. Making sure, making sure if you have copies of documents, family documents, that all of those are kept out of harm's way on second floors, in plastic containers.
I suppose you could put them on discs.
Yes, on a secondary file. All valuables that are stored in the basement, make sure they're in plastic containers. Try not to keep anything too valuable on those lower levels, especially if you're in a flood zone. No cardboard boxes, they can get moldy, right? Consider flood insurance if you can.
Sure.
That's a great idea if you're, especially if you flood often.
And please contact us. We do have some information on that. So if you have questions, we can answer some of them.
Yeah, we can go into more detail on the phone.
Okay.
Because that is very important.
Yeah, that saves homes. So listen to radio for updates, like I said, which roads are closed. Your car can float in 2 feet of water. So if you see a puddle and it's flooded, don't try to go through it. People die in swift water all the time.
Yeah, and they say don't go unless you know how deep it is.
Yeah.
Don't
even if you're not sure, you don't try to go through it. People have to be saved all the time by, disaster workers. And just stay away from floodwaters. You don't know what's in there. There could be sewage, there could be animals, there could be all types of debris. Don't try to cross it for any reason. Call 911 if you're worried. That's the best thing you can do. So
you can see me grimacing a little bit at the thought of what's in the water.
You don't want to know.
So now, Karen, did you want to talk about stress management or coping?
Sure. I can go briefly into it. That's something that we could also do more on an individual basis, kind of review people's coping skills, different things like that. Whenever we think of stress management, we don't realize how much stress really bothers us. But usually your body will kind of let you know that it's stressed out. So if you start experiencing, stomach aches, or you start noticing your blood pressure is getting a little high, or you have a rapid heartbeat, you generally have difficulty concentrating, different things like that. And like we've mentioned before, you could be stressed out more than you realize. And your body's kind of letting you know, let's work on this. So in terms of stress management could be, we have a lot of suggestions, usually maintaining healthy balance in food, water, drinking regular water, getting sleep, things like that. That also helps your normal mechanisms of kind of helping yourself kind of deal with stress. So those general things. But
so basically healthy living will help you deal in times of stress.
Yeah, and people don't realize how much that does make a difference. But just drinking water, I believe it's 6 to 8, I believe, is about glasses of water a day.
64 ounces, something like
that. Yeah, it's different. So basically if you do that, that kind of clears out the system and different things like that. And so, eating healthy, that's going to help just be your body's natural resilience in response to stress. And also besides that, definitely exercising. We also like to talk about kind of just doing things that help you de-stress. Knitting, maybe playing a video game if it doesn't make you too stressed out.
So do you have a list of the video games not to play?
But just there's a lot of, it's different for different people. Exercise is definitely a good one.
Yeah.
It could be journaling, reading a book, taking a walk, going out for coffee, hanging out with your family and your friends. It could be different for everybody. So it's really just making sure that you make time to actually do those things, though. Even normal daily stress, we recommend that as well.
I guess you could focus that down to living a well-rounded life.
Yeah.
What you take in and what you do with it.
Right. And just make sure that you're taking care of yourself first. Yeah. So, and if we can also help people with that individually if they kind of need to find their plan of their stress management plan.
Does Riverside then offer like training or workshops in stress management, or? We
do, actually. The Mass Support Program does. We could create that if maybe a group of people in Foxboro, if they wanted to have a particular training in stress management, we could definitely provide that.
Huh. Yep. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I know one of the things that that you have available, and I know it's on the website because that's where I read it, but is this trifold brochure about the Mass Support Program. And it has a lot of information, some of the things we just talked about, signs that you or a loved one needs emotional support and or stress management assistance, and we talked about that, difficulty focusing, getting frustrated too easily, maybe. Then there are things to remember when trying to understand disaster events. Pretty much this first one is no one who sees a disaster is untouched by it. So whether it is you have mold in your basement or whether you are emotionally slapped by the event.
And with that, it's important to remember youth and elderly as well. Children, you know, are touched by everything they see, so even more so than adults. So if you think your child may have been impacted, to contact us and we might be able to help. We have materials for youth, coloring books, and we might be able to talk to them and give more resources if necessary, but that's huge. So,
and I suppose with any disaster, because people are so different, their interpretation and how their emotions do or don't deal with the event is going to be different as well.
Yes, people do react differently. Some people are surprised that people don't react, and some people are interested how much they react. So it's definitely different for different people.
Yeah.
And that's totally normal to be different from other people.
And I suppose the more you know your friends and family, you might pick something up that they're not even aware of.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I know that, shall I read the website, or you probably know it quicker than I do? Either of you? Anyone?
Well,
Anyone?
if you can go through, it's our Riverside website is www.riversidecc.org.
So CC being crisis counseling.
Community care.
Yes.
Right, Riverside Community Care. So that would be probably one of the best websites you can go to, especially for long term.
And I'm sorry, did you say .com? So it's a .com?
No, it's a .org.
Oh, .org, yeah. Riversidecc.org.
Okay, great. Anything else that you feel our public should be aware of? Definitely
feel free to call us at any time. We want to say the number once more. It will be on the screen, but 781-433-0672, extension 5637. Even just questions you may have, or if you need help with preparedness, or if you have a stress question, we can talk about anything concerning the flood and how to help you recover in the future. If you want to get in touch with the long-term recovery group, call that number, and we can definitely give you the phone numbers and the case manager's numbers just to get you back on your feet and coping better.
And I mean, even general questions. I mean, we don't know everything about the flood insurance, but we just recently came upon some more information about that. So we would like to, if anyone has any questions on that, or what would happen if there was another flood, where to go, because a lot of times people weren't aware of what was available, such as FEMA resources and things like that. So if people have questions about even where to go, that would be something that we could help with as well.
Great. Now, through our Foxboro cable access, we have a bulletin board. So if it comes, when it comes to the point where the community outreach program and resources for the long-term recovery, then we can post that. Also, if any organizations, be it the library, a church group, senior center, are interested in having
presentation, please call us.
And we can also put that on our bulletin board.
Very happy to come back.
Great.
Sure, and we definitely can also just alter our presentation as well, because for the Rotary groups, we do have something on disaster preparedness for businesses. So if you particularly, maybe if you have a community group that would like something specific, we can kind of create that as well. So
great.
Very flexible.
And if any individuals want to talk to us, we can come out to their home, look at the damage, talk to them, and that's a big part of what we do, make an appointment with us. We will come back and speak to you individually.
Well, that's terrific.
And it's all confidential and free of charge.
That's even better.
Free.
You know, I said, I think probably several times, that this whole program was totally, I had no idea it was available.
Yeah, most people don't.
Yeah, so this is a good forum to put it out there.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
So thank you to Shaylin Degnan.
Thank you.
And Karen Sullivan.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching, and we'll be back at another time. Thank you.